When I was 6 years old, I cried as I watched my older sister, Lauren, and over 10 of my closest family friends head off to overnight camp for the first time in their lives. As they hopped out of the boat and walked up the docks, away from my 3-foot-tall self and a handful of parents, I thought they were leaving me forever. When they returned home 2 weeks later, covered head to toe in mosquito bites and with stories of tower jumping and morning dip, I knew exactly where I would be going the next summer. So that next July, I was lucky enough to be sent to YMCA Camp Kitchi-Kiwanis on Beausoleil Island in beautiful Georgian Bay. I know, it is quite the mouthful. My first year at Kitchi resulted in infections in both ears, homesickness, and bedwetting every single night because I was so afraid of the dark forest that surrounded the cabin. I think that it's important to note that this all happened within the first 3 days of camp. Even though poisonous rattlesnakes, black bears, and the odd raccoon roamed the campgrounds, oddly enough, this is where I felt the most safe and comfortable as I grew up. Aside from the numerous issues that kicked off my first year as a camper, my overall experience was beyond my wildest dreams. I was cheered on when I passed the swim test, learned how to sail for the first time, and became a bracelet-making aficionado. My parents took a leap of faith in sending me to Kitchi and by allowing 2 16-year-old counselors to effectively become my surrogate parents for the next 2 weeks. At only 7 years old, being roughly 150 kilometers away from home felt like I was worlds away from my biggest support system. Things went so well during the first summer as a camper that I caught the Kitchi bug and insisted on returning the next summer. At camp, as you grow older, the challenges that you face grow more difficult each year. During my second year out trip, we were expected to hike with our cabin mates and counselors to a remote part of the island, where we would set up our own tents, cook our own food, and carry our own equipment. Within the first 5 minutes of arriving at our campsite, I accidentally sprayed bug spray directly into my eyes. Now, instead of being in excruciating pain and possibly going permanently blind, my counselors went to work and dumped liters of water on my face until I was soaked head to toe. This wasn't something that changed my life or perspective on the world. However, in this moment, I knew that even as my eyeballs felt like they were falling out of my head, I was safe, I was supported, and I knew I would be okay. I trusted that my counselors would take care of me, and because of their support, I was able to complete the overnight expedition. Year after year, I kept returning to Kitchi and developed from one of the smallest junior campers into a camp counselor, where I cared for children just as I had been cared for before. YMCA Camp Kitchi-Kiwanis' mission is to provide each member of the camp community with the opportunity to be active, to learn, and to grow in a safe, healthy, and natural environment. It is a place where all are meant to feel welcome, a place where family troubles, neighborhood bullies, and financial struggles are left behind. Children choose to return to camp because they are allowed to make mistakes and face challenges in the safe environment that surrounds them as soon as they arrive at the camp docks. Appleby College is another place that I followed my big sister to, except this time she didn't come home with a sunburn and mosquito bites, but a preppy uniform and a bag with a chunky Fujitsu computer inside. From the beginning of Middle 1, I was urged to get involved, join clubs, and try out for teams. Coming from a small primary school where my world revolved around recess, snack, and lunch, it was quite a dramatic change to arrive at Appleby and join mandatory clubs and co-curriculars. While my 12-year-old self was overwhelmed with the variety of choices and opportunities the school had to offer, I understood that whatever I chose to join, I would be welcome with open arms. So, like a kid in a candy store, I chose to try everything I possibly could. Young Round Square, Middle School Council, Sewing Club, Speak Mentor, International Council, and Camp Vista each provided unique opportunities that allowed me to learn something new every club period. I was able to stick with the activities I liked the most and realize that my skill set did not exactly line up with some, like sewing. The same goes for academics. Through my 6 years of schooling at Appleby, I found a passion for English and a home in the capstone classroom, and realized that I only liked chemistry because we would listen to Sam Smith while working on practice problems. I was able to give each opportunity a shot and was supported by faculty and peers each time. This school has given me some of my greatest memories, dearest friends, and learning experiences that have made me develop into the person I am today. Like many of you, in Senior 1, I chose to embark on a service learning project. When the destinations were posted and the application process began, I immediately chose Guatemala. Not because of the climate, the service placement, or the guacamole, but for the sole reason that I would be going alone. I believe that this was a challenge in my life that I had to face myself, without my close friends, without my family, and without the safe environments that had surrounded me my entire life. I believe that this was not only did I not know Spanish, and still don't, but I was unaware that we would be staying with families for a week that only spoke Spanish. Little did I know how this would come to shape my experience. Both my homestay partner, Safa, and I learned to communicate with our family through Uno, playing songs off of Apple Music, giving hand signals, pointing at our room, ourselves, and down the hill to our service placement. While this allowed us to get by for the majority of our stay, I regret not learning the basics from my advisor, Senor Prieto, for one sole reason: food poisoning. After having a minor breakdown in the washroom, I went to my homestay mom and tried to explain my internal suffering. While I do not think she ever really understood what was going on, she made me homemade tea and tucked me into bed. Even living in a stranger's home in a remote Guatemalan village, I felt like I was safe, supported, and would end up being okay, which of course I was. Appleby College's mission is to educate and enable students to become leaders of character, major contributors to, and valued representatives of their local, national, and international communities. It is a place where family troubles, neighborhood bullies, and financial struggles are left behind. Children choose to return to Appleby because they are allowed to make mistakes and are challenged in the safe environment that surrounds them as soon as they arrive on our campus. I, like many of you in this room, have been fortunate enough to have faced the vast majority of challenges in my life by choice. Instead of returning to camp after my wide variety of first-year issues, I could have simply chosen to stop going. Instead of attending Appleby and participating in clubs, co-curriculars, and school trips, I could have chosen another school where I would have walked to and from as soon as the school bell rang. At both camp and Appleby, I knew I would have been challenged, but I also knew that I could rely on the community for the support I needed to succeed. This notion extends into all aspects of my life. As many of you already know, my cousin Meredith and I, along with our families, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro over 8 days in 2016. However, what many of you may not know is that we were supported by over 60 Sherpas who carried our equipment, supplies, and tents throughout the journey. The support that we received does not devalue the physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion that wreaked havoc on our bodies during the 15-hour summit climb, but it allowed us to overcome the challenge and reach the peak. While I do not know every person's story in this chapel, I do know that Appleby has played a pivotal role in all of our lives. So, I want to congratulate all of you for continuing to be vibrant members of our community at one of the most demanding and rewarding academic institutions in North America. I think that it is important to be reminded that the school that we all often take for granted is nothing short of an honor and a privilege to not just attend, but call home. From the beginning of each of our Appleby experiences, we have been challenged by our community to be our best selves. In this safe space, we have advisors, peer counselors, speak mentors, and an entire department of counselors whose primary role is to support us through our entire high school experience. For those of us graduating this year and beginning the next chapter of our lives, it will be the first time that many of us will be challenged in an environment that does not immediately make us feel welcome, safe, or supported. This fall, most of us will be heading off to university, which seems like a daunting, if not overwhelming, prospect. Just as we have all faced our own challenges in the past and transformed what we thought were difficult situations into success stories, we will have to do the same for the opportunities that lie ahead. I believe that we must look back on the places where we felt the safest and transform the next 4 years and beyond into our next safe space. Thankfully, going to Appleby has given us the tools to create our own healthy environments. I urge you all in the last few months, and for the senior ones, your last year or so, to take advantage of the support that the Appleby community gives to all who are within it. Whether it be taking a course that you know will be difficult, trying out for a competitive sports team, or going on a service trip halfway across the world, you will be supported throughout your experience. It is allowing all to feel welcome, all to be supported, and all to feel valued that turns a group of people into a tight-knit community. Now may you all please stand and sing hymn 352.